Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Hello and welcome to Audiobook Connection, behind the scenes with the creative teams. I'm Becky Parker-Geist and I'm your host. Audiobook Connection is your place to learn about the audiobook creative process and for authors to learn valuable tips on producing and marketing your audiobooks. This podcast is sponsored by Pro Audio Voices, helping great stories come alive through audiobook production and marketing. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being with me today. We're going to talk about categories and how you can utilize your metadata, the categories, as an element of your metadata to help your book get found. I'm going to start off with a brief overview. This may be information that you're already aware of, but it might not. And it's really important to understand. So let me at least take a few minutes to give you this overview. When you submit your audiobook or your print book or your ebook, part of your metadata information is selecting your categories. Now, categories are in essence like where someone would find your book in the bookstore. What shelf will it go on? Or the library. It's really a question of how are people going to best find your content. And this is, of course, really important because if you put it on the wrong shelf in the whole wrong section, people who are looking in that section aren't looking for your kind of book. But people who are looking for your kind of book in your appropriate section are not going to find it. So that's sort of a broad way of thinking about this. Now, something that would be good for you to know regarding KDP, so your print and ebook editions in the Amazon ecosystem, is that even though you're limited to 3 categories, I think it is, you can request more categories, up to 10. So that is a good thing for you to know. If you haven't done that, then you should, because it opens up the possibilities to get your title into more sections where people may be able to find your content. Similarly, in your audiobook metadata, you get to list 3 categories, 3 genres that you feel your book fits into. And there's a difference, though, in that ability to be able to request more categories. However, even though you're limited to the number of categories, it's important for you to take a look at which categories are you in and what is the competitive status or ranking in the genres that you've picked. This can make a huge difference for you. If, for example, you choose something like women's contemporary fiction as one of your genres in Audible, that is going to put you in a very difficult position in terms of ranking and being able to pop up closer to the top in somebody's search. So let's take a moment to talk a little bit about searches in Amazon. And today, this episode is going to focus mostly in the Amazon ecosystem because of the tools that are there. But we're going to take that and then also apply it when you use a digital distributor such as Authors Republic, Findaway Voices, some other distributor that is going to give you the wider distribution. Okay? So we'll circle back around to that. But right now we're focused mostly in the Amazon ecosystem. First of all, you should understand that depending on which format you're doing your categories for, so this is not about book, this is about, is it an ebook, is it a print book, is it an audiobook? depending on which format, the rankings will be different for the different searches. There could be, for example, let's just use that contemporary women's fiction as an example. When you look for that in print, it's going to be a very different number than when you look at it in audio. And it's really important to understand that because it does make a difference in the way that you approach how you use your metadata. Now, there is a tool that I'm going to highly recommend. It costs a little something, but not very much, and that is Publisher Rocket. It was created by Dave Chesson of Kindlepreneur, who is a lovely, generous, very knowledgeable expert in indie publishing, and especially in the Amazon ecosystem. And so if you go to kindlepreneur.com, you can get Publisher Rocket. That tool will be very, very helpful in this process, not only for your audiobooks, but also for your other formats. If you don't have Publisher Rocket, you can still go to Amazon and click to what I suggest as probably the most efficient way to approach this would be go to another title that feels like it's right in your genre, right in your style or whatever, someone you might think of as a competitor who is bestseller in your genre, your world, right? If you examine that listing, you can gather the information about how many books had to be sold per month in order to maintain that number one position. The fewer the number of books, the better it is for you. And this is where Publisher Rocket can be extremely helpful. Assuming you have Publisher Rocket, you can start to look at categories and use different keywords to identify which are the categories that require the fewest number of book sales to reach number one. You can also look, they have also the number of book sales to reach number 10, because when you call up bestsellers in a genre, it will list the top 10. So you want to be in that range, right? And so one of the things to know, though, is that as you're looking at the different categories, you really need to spend some time with it and do some drilling down, because there are categories that look like they're almost exactly the same, and yet they're slightly different. For example, they may be in the literature and fiction, and then there are subcategories under that. Or they may be starting off in a different, larger folder, if you will, or category, and then the subcategories drill down into what looks like almost the same thing. That little bit of difference, though, can make a huge difference in terms of your ranking and your visibility within the Amazon ecosystem. Let's take a short pause and we'll come right back.
Looking for a marketing plan and the support to implement it? At Pro Audio Voices, we're here to help. The audiobook marketing program offers 3 levels of launch packages to meet your needs. Each 3-month program includes a custom marketing blueprint that is created through one-to-one strategy sessions with our marketing strategy team. You'll get access to the AMP membership portal with modules you can go through at your own pace, as well as a checklist to keep you on track. You'll also get a custom-built library of marketing assets, videos you can use in the places you'll be focusing on based on your marketing blueprint, a monthly coaching call, custom keywords and hashtags, your own direct sales landing page where you'll earn 70% of whatever price you said. And that's just the beginning. Visit audiobookmarketingprogram.com to learn more.
Okay, so let's start with where you have your categories figured out. You've identified what are going to be the best 10 categories for you. And this is going to be broken out in terms of each format. So you're going to have your top 10 for books, your top 10 for ebooks, and your top 10 for audiobooks. Now, because we are limited in the audiobooks metadata at this point anyway, with the number of categories, we can only have 3, you're going to want to take a look at what 3 you're choosing, and this is going to be pulled from your top 10. The reason that I'm suggesting that you still do a top 10 is because, for one thing, you may want to be changing them up a little bit, and these numbers are changing all the time. So you're also going to want to come back, and if you're planning on making a change, then you'll want to do so by first researching the information again and making sure that it's currently valid and a good choice for you. Another thing that you can do is, let's say, for example, you have maybe 8 ebook or print categories that you feel like, nothing else really feels right. You could add in, if you have more audiobook categories that feel like they are a really good one, but you can't fit them into your top 3, you could add them in as genres in your other format or formats. And just to make sure that I've been clear about this, when you are looking for your audiobook categories, you are going to be looking, if you're using Publisher Rocket, you're going to be looking in the Audible section. And then I also want to remind you that assuming you have your own ISBNs for your audiobook and your print and ebooks, then you definitely should be going on to Bowker, onto myidentifiers.com, managing those ISBNs by adding all of your metadata for each of those formats. And this is going to include your categories or your bisects or your genres, all just different words for the exact same thing. Keep in mind that once you set those in place, that doesn't mean that you can't ever change them. I do recommend giving it some time. You don't want to be in there changing them every week. Give it a few months. See what happens. If sales are going well, then maybe leave it alone. If you are finding that things are going kind of slowly and you'd like to try out something different, try changing those categories in the different places where they are. So that's your Bowker account, if you have that, if you have your own ISBNs, which I do highly recommend. Also, on the Amazon platform, print, ebook, and then whoever your digital distributor is, your metadata with them will also include your audiobook ISBNs. And that's going to be a wrap for today. Thank you again for joining me. As always, if you have questions, please reach out to us at proaudiovoices.com. We're here to help you help your great story come alive. Thanks for joining us for Audiobook Connection, behind the scenes with the creative teams. Please take a moment to subscribe at audiobookconnection.com. The podcast is sponsored by Pro Audio Voices, helping great stories come alive through audiobook production and marketing. Learn more at proaudiovoices.com. Again, thanks for being with us, and please join us next week.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.